if statements. In the if statements section, we have discussed how we are supposed to write programs with if statement. Let me just review it for you once. The if statements are supposed to be having conditions, and in the conditions there will be multiple statements that will follow after it. This is how it goes. All the statements which are part of the if statement body are indented. So this is something that you have read n number of times. In the last class, we also discussed that the if statement can be further subdivided into three types, or the if structures that you will see during programming course may be of three different types. One, which only has a if statement. Other than if, there is nothing present over there. If the condition is satisfied, well and good, this will, the body of the if will be executed. Otherwise, you will just skip the body of this if statement. So as over here in this example, you can see that the condition will not be satisfied because a is the value of a is 10, which is not less than 5. So what are we supposed to do? We are supposed to just skip the body of if and we'll move ahead. So if there are statements after this if statement, they will be executed and these two statements will not be printed. Then another type of statements were those in which there was a if and there is a else. So now you just don't have one single if, you have one if and the other one is else. So if this condition is true, well and good. If it is not true, then you have this as a fail safe. With else, you do not have any condition. So you can rest assured that if this is not meeting your standards, this will in any case execute. Okay. But what if the value of if is satisfied, or the condition over here is satisfied? In that particular case, my dear students, you are supposed to execute the statements associated with if only. And if the body of if is executed, then you see as per this flow of control statement, you will see that then we will not execute the body of else, which will mean that once you execute this or print this line, value of a is less than 5, then we will not print these two statements, print inside the body and value of a is not less than 5. These two statements will not be executed. So either this or this. If not this, then only this. Okay. And remember, there will be only one else statement. You can only have one if statement and one else statement. So what if we have multiple conditions and we have to stack them together in one single case? Okay. You want, if this condition is true, not true, then you will, then only you, this condition should be checked. If that condition is also not true, then this condition should be checked, and so on. If there is a situation like this, then what we can do is we can go with if elif else statement. You know that there can be only one if. If the condition is not satisfied, now you will not directly go to else. You will check if there is, this is an else if condition. Elif means, in the full form of it, this will mean else if. Okay. Elif is a short form, or the keyword that we will be using over here. It can be read as else if. So if the condition over here is not true, then we will go and see this one. If even this is not true, then only we will go to the else condition. But as we have suggested that there can be only one if and only one else, but for elif there can be multiple elif between these two. Remember, elifs are supposed to be placed between an if and else. You can skip an else if you do not wish to have an else, you can skip it, but elif cannot start this particular if structure. You must have an if first and then only you can have elif statements. Okay. Who has just joined? Suryansh, please keep track of the attendance for me. Okay. Now we have come to the rules for if statements. So we'll go through them one by one, and we'll also do an example just to make sure you understand it. The very first statement is a simple statement. It is not a rule in itself. It says that an if statement is a statement which provides conditional access to the statements in the body. So if is a type of lock. If the right key is there with you, the right key is nothing but the true value of the condition. So if the right key is there with you, you can always then go into the body of the if. If you have false with you, then you will not be able to. So if you are not having the right key over here is the true value. So if you don't have the true value with you, then you will not be able to execute the statements which are present in the if body. So what does this mean? This will mean that if you do not have this correct value over here you can see that the value of a is 10, 10 is not less than 5. So this will give you false. And if true is not present over here, then you will not be able to execute it. So the very first statement is a simple rule that the statements along with if will only be executed if the value associated over here with the condition of if is true. The next statement or rule says an if statement may be followed by multiple or no elif statements. So there can be something like, let me just give you an example for this. Over here you can see that you have x is equal to 15 and suppose these statements are not there. Okay, so what you can see is there is just one if statement over here. After this you have another if statement over here and another if statement over here. You have three if statements over here, right? There is no else if or elif associated with either one of them, and there is no else present with either one of them, and this code will run perfectly fine. There is no problem with this running over here. So when it runs, it will check for these three conditions separately. This if is a different condition. This if condition is not associated with the previous if condition, because each one of them is a if condition and there is no elif, so they are not dependent on each other. This if condition may be true. If it is true, no problem, it will print this. If it is false, which it which is true, that is, this condition is not going to be true, this will give you false. So this particular statement print 10 will not be executed. You will come down over here, 15 equals to 15 will be true, and you will print 15, and then again this condition will be true. So the point that needs to be noticed is that when you have only if statements, it is not like that one if statement is true, then we are not supposed to go and execute the other if statement. If only if statements are there, you are supposed to check each and every condition. Let me just run it for you. So when you run this, you will see that 15 and greater than 14, both the statements are being printed, which will mean that this condition was evaluated and this condition was evaluated. Both these conditions were evaluated, they were checked, and because both of them were true, both of them gave you the result as 15 and greater than 14. Let us now next come to the next rule. So the rule one said that there may not be any elif statement. So there were no elif statement. Whatever, it also said that there can be multiple elif statements. Okay. So if elif, 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 so there are three elif statements associated with this one if statement, and you notice that there is no else over here. So the else is an optional element. I've one if, and these three elif statements are associated with this if. When I run this, you will notice that because x is equal to 15, the first condition is not true. The second one is true. And you will see that value greater than 10 will be printed. Okay, the next condition is again the very same condition. The same condition like this is again over here, but this time you are not over here to execute it. You will not execute it. What will you do? As soon as you see that this condition has been executed and you print this statement from here, you will go directly to this statement over here. From there to out of if. Okay, wherever, what is the next, whatever be the next statement after this if block, this particular code of if is one block. Okay, then after this is another block, and this is another blocks. So there are three blocks of if over here. Oh my bad, this has moved, so you may not be understanding. This was supposed to be one block. Okay, one block this, and the other two blocks are over here. So there are three blocks of if over here, and in these blocks of if, you may notice that all the statements over here are part of one block. So there is one if condition. If the other if condition, elif condition is true, then the preceding conditions or the conditions which are after it will not be evaluated. So these two conditions will not be evaluated. But because they are individual statements in these two blocks, both of these conditions are evaluated. Anything that you would like to ask in this? This is an important point over here that we have just discussed. Anything that you would like to ask in this? Anyone? No doubts? Then we'll move ahead. No problems. So notice everyone that there are multiple elif statements which are associated with this if, and if one of the elif is true, the upcoming elif will not be evaluated. Let's just joined. Okay, no problems. We'll move ahead. In the next one, the next rule that we have, so the second rule was no or multiple elif statements. You can have 0 elif statements or you can have n number of elif statements. The rule number 3 says that an elif statement must be preceded by an if statement. What happens if we do not do that? Suppose we have removed this if from here. What will happen then? This elif will start giving me an error. It will say that this is an invalid syntax. You cannot start a particular if elif body without an if. You have missed the if or you have removed the if, and then you expect the code to start with an elif condition. So this is not feasible. Either you make this as if, then it is okay for Python, or you bring back that if, or you put another if at the top, then only it will work. Okay, so remember this point. You cannot start with an elif statement. This is another rule. You may raise hands whenever you feel a doubt. The next statement or next rule is an else statement acts as a fail safe. Okay, what is a fail safe? Something that you can rely on, that if everything else fails, this is where we can rely and this will work in any case. Okay, so in your houses you have MCBs. Okay, so MCBs are fail safe. MCBs will not let your connection strip, or even if in case of any failures, they will trip so that there are no fires or there are no electrical short circuits. So for things like this, you have MCBs at your house, or uh, circuit clippers or cutters are also there. So The same way you have else over here. What will this else do? In a scenario when none of these conditions are fulfilled, this particular else statement will act or will execute perfectly. Okay. So over here in this scenario, all the condition, either of any of these conditions will satisfy somehow. So what you can do is you can just change one. Suppose I have removed this. So what will happen now? None of these conditions will, and I have changed the value to 9. Okay. So when I execute this, it is bound to go to this else statement, because with 9, neither is it equal to 10 nor is it greater than 10, and 9 is less than 1. This is also false. So only the else statement is left, and when you execute this, you will have the value from the body of else statement. So it, as it says that an else is a fail safe. If nothing over, no condition over here is met, else is there for your help. And what needs to be remembered is else will never have a condition associated with itself. Remember this point. If whatever the condition is, then that, then you will have this colon. You can have whatever number of statement in the body of this if, then else if, and so on. Okay, the last rule is else is optional with if. So as we were doing it before, that we were not using this else statement, right? In the examples that we just did before this one, so we were not using else. Or as you can see over here, there is no elif, there is no else, so else is optional. There is just one more rule that needs to be taken care, that if condition for an if statement, if the condition for an if statement is satisfied, the upcoming elif conditions will not be evaluated. What does this mean? That if my condition over here has been satisfied, then the upcoming conditions that are these, even though they may be true, but they will not be evaluated. So we have just seen an example of this when we were doing something like this. When you run this code, you will see that 15 is greater than 10 and 15 is also greater than 12. So both the conditions are true, but only one of them will be executed. That is the first one. After this execution, you will go out of this loop. Okay. So these are the conditions that you need to take care about, and you will need to be sure that you follow these rules and conditions. Anyone who can tell me if I, now I have uncommented everything. You have this code in front of you. Please tell me what will be the output of this code. I have just changed this value to 10. What will be the output for this code fragment? You have 2 minutes to give the answer. You can ping me in chats. It will be good if you give the entire output in one go. So suppose there are 3 lines of output, so give the entire 3 lines of output in one go. The question is, what will be the output of this code fragment? We have one answer. 15 greater than 15 greater than 14. I see many of you are replying over here. I would expect each one of you to do this reply, and specifically from someone who are not regular, someone like Yash, Sahil. Please, beta, try answering this one. Kanika, please try answering this one. Arshika, 15 greater than 14, values greater than 10. So most of you have given me correct replies. Thank you so much. I'm very happy with it. Let me just run it for you and then you will have your correct answer. The first statement is value greater than 10. So you see that 15 equals to 10 will give you false. You are bound to come over here. 15 is greater than 10. This condition is true. And hence this print statement will be evaluated, which will give you 15 greater, the greater spelling then 10 is printed. Then because this has been printed, you will not go to Elif, and you will come to this if and then this if. So pretty much straightforward, simple. Okay. Anything that you would like to ask in this? Anyone who would like to ask anything? Anything that you have a confusion about? Please, everyone, we are about to finish this topic, and remember this is a step way. Okay. So, and step way in a process that you cannot jump steps over here. It will be involved somewhere in future in our coding practices. So it is important that you understand this one. If there are any doubts, please speak up. Don't be hesitant. Okay, so if there are no doubts, then we'll go and we'll see a video then. This video is about what we will be studying in the next week. Okay. I also hope that you guys have your schedule for your exams. You haven't received your schedule for your exams? Look it in the group. They have been sharing it in the group for the past 2 days. There is an office order which says it is in the name of an office order. So download it. It is there. I will just reshare the screen for so that it is okay for us to view it. Is the audio coming to you guys? Is it audible? Okay. So listen, see what is happening over here. They will be posing a problem and they will be expecting an answer from you. So you have not studied this concept at all. Let me just tell you, this is the concept which we will be studying next. Okay, but we'll still expect a near about answer from you. Okay.
Upon emerging from stasis, Ethic is the unfortunate recipient of 3 surprises. The first, a prison cell. The second, complete amnesia. And the third, a mysterious stranger has gotten stuck squeezing through the bars on her window. His name is Hedge, and he has come to help Ethic save the world. But first, they have to break out of jail. Hedge turns his hand into a lockpick and outlines the challenge ahead. Each lock in the prison works in the same unusual way. Inside the keyhole is a red dial that can be rotated to one of 100 positions, numbered 1 through 100. The key for a given cell spins the dial to the right position, which, when stopped there, makes it turn green and unlocks the door.
Are you getting it, everyone? There is a puzzle that is coming to your way. Okay, listen to it very carefully.
It would be out of the question to steal keys from a guard. But Hedge has a better idea. Hedge can carry out Ethic's commands. If Ethic tells him to walk 5 steps forward, turn right, then walk another 5 steps, that's exactly what he'll do. Hedge needs specific instructions, though. If Ethic says pick the lock or try every combination, that would be too vague. But spin the dial 5 positions forward would work. Once out of the cell, they will only have a few moments to crack the lock for the outer prison door, too, before the guards catch them. So what instructions will allow Hedge to efficiently open any door?
Okay. Anything that you would like to add that these instructions should be there? Was it audible when it came to you? Is it clear when in the video that what the question is? Anyone who would like to answer this, or anyone who would like to say that what should be done? See, the question is that there are 100 different combinations that you should go through. Okay, and it is like an if over here. If this condition is true, okay, if this condition is true, the lock will open. If this condition is true, the lock will open. If not, check for the next condition, check for key number 2, check for key number 3, and so on. So you will have to do it for 100 different keys. See what happens next.
Pause now to figure it out for yourself.
See that rules are each lock has a dial that can be set to 100 different positions. The dial is red when the door is locked. The dial is green when it's stopped on the correct number. So if you have reached the correct number, the dial will be green. Hedge can see the color of the dial at all the time. So what you can do is, what one possible answer over here is that you time and again check for each of the lock. And if you reach the correct lock, you will say that, okay, it is good. This is how you are supposed to do. So let's see what the answer over here is, and then we'll end up.
Before we explain the solution, here's a hint. A key programming concept that can help unlock the door is called a loop. This can be one or more instructions that Hedge will iterate or repeat a specified number of times, like jump up and down 100 times, or an instruction that Hedge will repeat until a condition is met, such as keep jumping up and down until it's 7 o'clock.
Anyone who would like to come up with a solution? Any possible answers, anyone? So Suryansh has given one answer. Anyone else who would like to come up with an answer before we jump on to the solution given by them? No? Let's move it.
The first thing that's clear is that you need to find a way for Hedge to try every combination until one works. What takes a little more effort is how exactly you do so. One solution would be to instruct Hedge to try every combination in succession. Try one and check the light. If it turns green, open the door. And if not, try two. If that doesn't work, try three. All the way up to 100. But it would be tedious to lay that out in its entirety. Why write more than 100 lines of code when you can do the same thing?
So you see that they have been asked that they will be doing an if condition, if check. If the color is green, then open the door. Else, Elif, go for the next number, check for the next number. So instead of doing 100 different comparisons like this, they are trying to tell you an alternate method to this one.
With just 3. This is where a loop comes in. There are a few ways to go about this. The lock has 100 positions, so Ethic could say, check the dial's color, then spin the dial forward once for 100 repetitions. Remember where the dial turns green, then have Hedge set it back to that number. A loop like this, where you specify the number of times it repeats, is called a for loop. But
remember this term, the for loop. Okay, this is one of the types of loop that we'll be studying.
An even more efficient loop would have Hedge spin the dial one position at a time until it turns green. And as soon as that happens, have him stop and open the door. That way, if the door unlocks on 1, he doesn't need to cycle through all the rest of the numbers. This is an until loop, because it involves doing an action until a condition is met. A similar alternate approach would be to turn the dial while it's still red, then stop. That's called a while loop. Back to the adventure. Hedge loops through the combinations, and the cell opens at 41. Ethic and Hedge wait until the perfect moment in the guard's rotation and make a break for it. Soon, Ethic faces a choice. Hide inside a mysterious crystal or try to crack the outer door and make a run for it. Ethic chooses to run. The second door takes Hedge longer, requiring him to spin all the way to 93. But he gets it open. And takes the opportunity to explain why he's rescued Ethic. The world is in turmoil. Robots have taken over, and only Ethic can set things right. In order to do so, they'll need to collect 3 powerful artifacts that are being used for nefarious purposes across the land. Only then can Ethic return to the world machine, that giant crystal, to set things right. Ethic may have escaped the prison, but what has she gotten herself into?
was it, everyone? No problem. This will be there for you. We will be putting on this on. So if you have missed it, no problems. We'll share this again. Or what I will do is I will rather share this link of the video as well as the video that we have recorded. So both of them will be shared. There's an open-ended question. Will any one of you like to answer this? What if instead of one dial there were four each in which could be set upon a position from 1 to 100? How would ethic run through all of the combinations? So this is something that you can think about it. The answer for this is a bit tedious, and once you study all the loops, everything, you may be able to answer them. For now, it is a bit out of our reach. For now, you can go at your home. When you end this lecture today, I will expect you guys to study this at your home, and we will study from the basic of iterations in the next class. Anything that you would like to ask, or can we end the session now? Anyone who would like to ask anything? Or can we end our session now, beta? Okay then.
Sir,
Yes, Jesse.
sir, what is the syllabus?
Syllabus for that particular test that is coming up. Jesse. So you will get it probably by tomorrow or day after tomorrow. You will get the syllabus. If you just
Sir, what is the syllabus for test?
the syllabus for the test that is that you guys are having in the next week will be up till if statements. Okay, only up till if statements. So you will have questions on identifiers, literals, arithmetic operations, all those things. You will get a written syllabus for, with you in 1 or 2 days. Okay, will it work, everyone? Jesse, will it work? For now, you can unofficially take it up till if statements. If there are any further changes, I will let you know. Okay then, everyone, if there are no other doubts, have a nice day.